gonna take this a lot faster. I remember before I took the A plus, when I felt that I was ready, I was doing them in, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes. So, all right, guys, any more questions about this stuff? Okay, let's resume what we're doing. So we're doing the lab on Windows. We'll continue with that. Cool. So let's see here. We're talking about issues on Windows, right? So we went over, so you guys know, I don't know if everybody knows this. I did say when I first started this Windows lab that I had posted here on the instructor's notes, that is a file called Windows Lab 1, which is an outline of what I'm doing. So this is not a slideshow. It's basically going through the motions, right? So what you should be able to do with this paper is, after I present, you should be able to get this and go on your Windows system if you have it, or if you have a VirtualBox on your computer and with Windows loaded, you should be able to run through these, you know, and just touch those tools, familiarize yourself more with those tools. You should be able to do it. So this will get you that hands-on type of feeling for it, right? Yeah. It is not going to make you a Windows expert by no means, but it's going to get you familiarized with a lot of those tools that if you guys were working in IT, you guys will be seeing this stuff day to day, right? All right, so let's go back here. So this is basically what I'm doing right now. I'm on doing the Windows issues stuff. I'm on item number 9, which is system booting into safe mode. So if your system is booting into safe mode, you need to check for and fix errors on the device driver. That's one of the problems that you may have. Maybe you need to roll back an update to a driver. So basically, let's suppose this was on whatchamacallit. Ooh, I had device manager option right now. So if you right click here on the start menu, and I don't think the book mentions it, but that is a lot of shortcuts here that you can go to several different things. So device manager is right there. Not every Windows had this. If you go on Windows 7, you're not gonna find this when you right click here. So if you go here, and let's see, you just put like a device driver and you have any issues, you can totally go there, click onto properties, and you can roll back that driver, right? If you have any issues with video, right? So that would be an occasion. Also, maybe msconfig has the safe boot checked in for some reason. Maybe there was a previous user that set that up, and I had an incident that I did that and I forgot to uncheck. It was actually when I was writing this stuff, and when I rebooted my system, and I'm like, oh, I'm on safe mode. Why? Because I had that thing checked in. So if you go on msconfig, which is system configuration for Windows 10, I had this checked like this, right? So yes, no, exit without restarting. So basically, I was booting myself into safe mode. That's another problem. Another thing could be you use your system for system restore at the point of time when the system wasn't experiencing these problems. Oh, never mind. Let me roll back here. So if you're having your system is put into safe mode, another alternative is to use a system restore to fix that. So like, let's say you cannot figure it out why your system is going into safe mode. You already roll back a driver. You already checked your msconfig. You already did all that. So what the next step will be to try to do a system restore. And we went over there. Like, I guess if you just type system restore, you should see it. Recovery, that's one. System open system restore. There you go. So like either you can choose a different point in time, or you can use the recommended, which is typically, you know, when the last change was made that was relevant to the system, or you can look for, oh my God, I'm restarting my system. Jesus. Should be a point in time that I can stop this. I went through fast to the menus. Anyways, that should be a table that shows you several different places. And we went through that already in a previous lecture. So this is going to reboot now and it's going to restart the system to a previous configuration, which was basically after a Windows update that I did. That's all it was. So I'm going to lose those updates, right? Basically. So another problem that you could have on Windows is problems occurring after a hardware change. So let's say you added a new video card, or you added a new hard drive, like a second hard drive, or you added more RAM to your PC. So you could uninstall and reinstall the new hard drives. Maybe they needed drivers. Maybe you need to reinstall those drivers. Another option would be rolling back your Windows or your operating systems updates. Maybe the hardware that you just added to your machine, it was not ready to run on the latest and greatest Windows update. I don't know if you guys remember, but Windows right now, they are Windows 10, just like Mac OS is. So essentially, let me put that here so you guys can see my face whenever I have the stream. There you go. So what happens is that Windows now has build numbers, and it releases, I believe, every 6 months. That is a major one. And if it happens that the hardware developer haven't been able to update the drivers to work with that new Windows build, it could be that as soon as you update it, or because you are using the latest and greatest, your hardware is not compatible with Windows as it is, and you have any issues. So you may need to go on the manufacturer's website and see, is my device compatible with, I believe the latest one is Windows 10 2004. And I believe the previous version, and we can pull all that. Like if we go here and let's go to the Microsoft page. So Windows 10 builds list. There you go. So if they have a whole release thing with all the information here and here. So it's semi-annual channel. So every 6 months they do it, right? I use this dark mode thing. Oh, it actually improved their site. Cool. Look, they have, this is the one that is not the current, but this is the current, right? They released this on the 20th of October. This is the latest, 20H2. So let's say you have a hard drive, not hard drive, a piece of hardware that you add to your computer, and they don't have the drivers that are compatible with the 20H2. What they do have is compatibility with the 2004. So you would be a case that you get on Windows and you want to restore to that specific time. You want to roll back those Windows updates to this point. That could be the case, the situation. Roll back a driver, that's another option. And system restore, it's another option as well. You could do system restore for this as well. Another problem that you may have is files that fail to open. So a change in the file association. It could be that you install, let me go back here. Let me get this guy. It's easier to show this in the system. So let's see, you have several applications that could do different things, right? Like for example, maybe you installed an application and you're going to the wizard and you didn't realize that you set all your PDF files, right? All your PDF files to be opened with an application that doesn't do that, right? By mistake, you just clicked it, you just selected to have those files there. Or maybe that the application doesn't do a good job on that. So this is a system restore, right? Nothing big. It's basically it's like a snapshot of a virtual machine. Basically, a snapshot of a system how it was at the precise time. That's all it is. So let's go back here and look at the file system. And let's open, I don't know, maybe documents. There you go. There you go. I have a file here, pcap. This is a pcap file. Pcap file is packet capture from a network, right? So I use this application called Wireshark that basically goes into, it connects into my network interface card, and it listens to all the network traffic. So that's what a pcap is. Maybe this was assigned to be opened by something else, you know, and I'm not able to open using Wireshark. Maybe it was assigned to open with, I don't know, Notepad. So you need to check if that application, see, that extension is set to open with the right application. And you can change that. You can look into more applications. If you have a specific path, you can pick that. So that could be the problem. Another problem could be a driver conflicting, some operating system updates that screwed it over. Actually, never mind. That's not it. Sorry, guys. I was reading from the top item. So another option could be you need to troubleshoot the application, right? That you want to open. Maybe that is a problem with the application. Another problem could be maybe you have some malware. You know, I actually a few years ago, before I really got into IT and cybersecurity, I actually caught some malware on my computer. And what the malware did, it used a tag to hide my files. It was, I guess, a precursor to ransomware. Ransomware does worse. So what it did is I got this malware, and the malware, what it did was it got every single file I had, everything, and it used a command on the command line that hides the file. So all my files were hidden. I couldn't see anything. Luckily, you know, I was able to figure it out that was a problem. But that's basically what happened, right? So it could be that you have some malware causing that problem. Ransomware will do stuff like that. You know, will encrypt the files to a point that you cannot view them. So it could be malware. If it is ransomware, I know the step will be scan for and remove any malware. You're not gonna be able to remove that. Ransomware is the type of stuff that, you know, unless you have the key pair, basically what it does is it uses RSA, which is private public key encryption, is an asymmetric type of encryption, and it requires a key pair to unlock your files. So, you know, that's the issue there. There are some that have been cracked already by, you know, cybersecurity people, and if you get an old one, you might be able to you know, open your stuff back up and get, you know, your things back in place. But the thing is that the best friend when dealing with ransomware is to have a backup that is not infected. That's the best way to go about it. Let's go to the next one. Misaligned monitors or incorrect monitor orientation, like stuff like this. Let's see here. Oh, I can open this guy, it's better. Let me go to the VM. I don't want to screw up my screen. Let's go here. So it could be that, you know, that's not good. I don't know, maybe your monitor is like this, right? You know, that's an issue. So in this case, you go into display properties, just like we did. Well, I'm gonna revert it right now, but this would be one of the things you do. Maybe this is the problem. Maybe you have two monitors, like I do. I have my laptop and my, I have another screen here. My laptop is here. I have a screen here and another screen here, which is the one I'm sharing. So it could be that I have them crossed, right? So in I'm gonna go to my desktop so you guys can see it. So if you see here, display settings, yeah, you see three monitors. So it could be that this guy is in the middle. So every time I use my mouse, right? And I go here, right? My mouse comes up on this side of the screen here. So that's annoying, right? So this will be where you go and you mess with it and you realign your monitors, right? Also, you identify them, right? When you click identify, you see the number pop up on the screen and you know where they are, right? That'll be another thing to do here. So let's go back here. Change the orientation of one of the monitors. They could be, that is such thing as landscape and portrait. So yeah, this stuff here, guys. Let me, I think this is better on the VM. I don't want to screw up my screen here. But if I'm here and let's go back down. Oh, I cannot do that on the VM. Isn't that great? Yeah, so anyways, if I were to do that, this guy here, let's see, landscape flipped. If I do landscape flipped, this is gonna be upside down, right? This is gonna be upside down. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Can you guys see me? Because I see a weird video of me there. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can see you.
Okay.
Loud
Yeah,
and clear.
something's going on. I moved the little camera off because it's looking weird right now. Oh, you went back to normal. Maybe because I was on that screen. All right, let's go back to the Windows thing. There you go. So that's another thing you can do. Let's go now. Another problem. Okay, so another thing that you can consider if you're having issues with Windows would be refreshing, reimaging, and performing a clean install. So either or, they really mean the same thing. So refreshing could be restoring, like if you have like a Dell computer that is a place that you can restore to factory settings. Essentially, is exactly how you got your Dell computer when you went to the store and you took it home. It's they call it the open box experience. Now, this is something that you can actually do on any box. You can totally do that. It's called sys prepping. And let me just go over here real quick. Let me open this guy. I think I have internet. Do I? Sys prep, sys prep. So you guys know what that is. So that is a way, right, that you can generalize on Windows installation. This is what manufacturers do, right? They open they install Windows, do a clean install on whatever computer they're gonna sell you, and they install all these applications in it, right? A lot of them are what we call bloatware. What bloatware is those applications. Let's say you have Dell and you have these utilities that you never touch them. They are in your box and you're like, why, right? They are known as bloatware. It's just software you get from the manufacturer that is redundant a lot to the application that you have on your operating system. The same thing, you can do sys prepping. Let's say you're in a business and you want to make sure that you have a clean Windows image with all the applications that you plan on installing. So you install Windows on a computer, right? And then you install Office, right, with Word and PowerPoint and Excel and all that, and you install whatever applications the business wants you to install. And once you're satisfied, right, you do sys prepping, which is essentially the same thing, right? the difference is that you're gonna remove some stuff from the box, which would be the every Windows has like a serial number tied to your hardware that you have installed. So you, like Windows knows that this Windows that I have installed here belongs to this computer, right? When I do sysprep, it erases all those records, right? And you can do what is called the open box experience, right? The open box experience. So when you re-image this guy in another computer, it feels like you just installed Windows brand new, right? He asks you to set up a user, all kinds of stuff. But once you're done, you're gonna notice that all the applications that you installed before you sysprep that box are going to be there. So this would be a way of refreshing, re-imaging, right? Re-imaging will be the same thing as refreshing. Performing a clean install is when you pick up a Windows CD or USB or whatever media you want to use it, and you install our Windows from, you know, how we did it on the first, when we first started the labs. I'm going to show you guys. So this chapter 10 also wants me to go over a couple things with you that have nothing to do with Windows. It has to do with the Mac OS and the Linux box. It's a couple things here. So for Macs, you could have issues known as the proprietary crash screen or pinwheel that they call it. These are typically caused by insufficient memory, slow processor, and application errors. You have another thing that could be the kernel panic, which is hardware or software failure, right? So ways to possible solutions for the proprietary crash screen or pinwheel is to test and upgrade memory, processor, if possible. Processor, I don't think you're gonna be able to do that unless you buy a new Mac. Close any unused applications. Keep open application to a minimal, so you don't open a lot of applications. Quit any frozen applications. So let's say you have Chrome and you have 300 freaking tabs in it. It might not be a good practice. It might be causing those problems. If you see Chrome, when you open a new tab, it's like opening a new Chrome. And they have a tool here called Task Manager, which is just for Chrome. And you can see here everything that's taking up space. So you might see here, if you go on Task Manager, you're gonna see this, right? Google Chrome, you're gonna see child processes, but you're like, what are they? If you ever wanna know what they are, you go to Chrome, you go to more tools, and you go into the Task Manager, and it's gonna spill the beans here. It's gonna tell you exactly what it is. See, that tab that I have open, it has a 46,000K memory footprint right now. So, you know, this is the type of stuff that could get you, you know, in a lot of problems. It's opening and opening and opening of tabs. Firefox has a better control of that, by the way, so you guys have an idea. It's a lot more efficient when it comes to that stuff. Another thing that I wanted to show you guys is in, because I have an extension here called, I have it installed here. No, it's on my other browser because I have two browsers. I use one browser for work and one browser for my personal stuff. This is not the one. This is the one. Okay, so I have this thing here. No, not this guy here. It's called a grade suspender. It's an extension. So every time I open like a bunch of tabs, right? After some period of time, what the grade suspender is going to do, so about an hour after I open that tab, is going to shut that tab down. So when he shuts that down, essentially, it's like you hit a stop and, you know, it's going to be suspended. So it's not going to cost me any resources. And the advantage that I'll have with it is that if I will decide that I want to go back and look at the information, I can just refresh and the tab will be usable again. So it's a very useful extension for Chrome. If you guys want to get it, is the Great Suspender. Let's go back to this guy. Okay, so that's how you get out of that hole on the Mac. Now, the other one is the kernel panic. You could try rebooting, updating software and firmware, and test and replace RAM. It could be that. Ensure that the hard disk has plenty of free space. So those are the troubleshooting steps for that. For Linux, you could have a problem called missing grub or Lilo. Lilo, you guys are not gonna be messing with Lilo anymore. Lilo is so old, so old. It's basically how Windows has its boot manager. That's the equivalent, right? So, and same thing for Grub. Grub is the new thing. Actually, we're on Grub 2, I believe now. So it's the same as the Windows boot manager, right? The whole system boot thing. So file has been corrupted, overwritten. Grub is the bootloader in the newer Windows systems, and Lilo is the older. So to fix that, you could reinstall or recover Grub or Lilo, whichever. Kernel panic is another issue, which is just like the one that you have on the Mac. It could be hardware or software failure, same thing. And the troubleshooting steps are virtually the same. You try rebooting, you update the software and firmware, you test and replace the RAM, and you ensure that the hard disk has plenty of space. That's all. So those are the only things I need to talk to you about those specific guys. Now we're gonna talk about Windows networking. There are two sharing, well, there used to be 3 sharing models for Windows. Now it's only 2 because they removed the home group thing. So you have work group, right? So work group is like a peer-to-peer sharing. Computers have their own ACLs. ACL is access list, right? So let me just give an example of how an ACL looks like. If I open this file here and I go into properties and I go into, oh, execute is better. So this is what an ACL is. ACL, it's what the permissions are, what people can do and with that file or folder or whatever, or resource. Do they have full control? Can they modify? Can they read? Can they execute? Can they just read? Right. Do they have special permissions? Allows them different type of execution rights in the specific resource. So every computer is going to have their own. And now the limitations of this is that it becomes a little cumbersome when you go above 10 users, right? Can you imagine have to be the IT guy that manages 15 different computers with different permissions? Each one of them has different permissions. And different users need to access different computers. It'll be too cumbersome to do. Up to 10, honestly, I think 10 is a lot already. I wouldn't do it. I think my rule of thumb is if you have more than 5, it can become cumbersome to do. I would start talking to the business to see if we could get a domain controller in there. Even if it is like a Linux box running LDAP instead of Active Directory, I'll try to do that. But the recommendations from Microsoft is up to 10, but less than 20. The other way of sharing resources is having a client server relationship, which is having a domain, which is what I have here with this box and this guy here. This is a domain controller. So he is the server while my Windows 10 is the client. So this is a client server relationship. But all the resources are managed in this guy, even though I can use some tools that I have here, and I set up the MMC here for that. Even though I can manage my server, right, through this remotely. It's still, this is just a client, not the server. Windows Home Edition cannot join domain. If you have a Windows Home Edition installation, you're not going to be able to do this. You need to have a professional or enterprise, some business like distro. Another way that before Windows 10 you will be able to do sharing was something called Home Group, which was basically for home users. I mean, some small business did use that, but what that did is it made it easy to share stuff like photos, videos, printers. It created one user and another could join, like one user will create the home group and other users could, join the home group. Computers in a work group could join also the home group. To join a home group or domain, whichever. So basically it's this, right? So if you right click here and you go into system, go into system info and change settings, right? So you can go here and you can change where your computer belongs to. Right now I have domain. I could set it as a home group, right? And when I type the name of the home group here, click OK, apply, the computer will restart, and I'll be part of the home group. Same thing for the domain. Difference is that when you join domain, you will be prompted for an administrative password and login and password to authorize that change. Also, you can change the name of the computer as well. Let's see, you decided this computer is, I don't know, your boss computer. So you type boss here, right? So that'll be a thing that you could do. You could also change that. And that's it for that. Let's go now in the command line and talk about a command called netdom. Netdom can do several different things. Let's go CMD here. So you can do several different things here. You can add a computer to a work group or domain. You can change the computer name on the command line. You can join. The join will be to join to a domain most likely. You can netdom move, which I believe he moves to a different location on Active Directory, if I'm correct. We can go and do like this, netdom move help. Oh, he didn't. So it is a help move. There you go. So move does, what is it? Yeah, essentially that's what it does. Moves a workstation or member server to a new domain, machine name or workstation member server to be moved. So you can move to a different domain and stuff like that. You gotta put all this other stuff in it. Adds to a work group or a domain. Computer name, netdom computer name basically adds the new name for the computer. I mean, tags that name, basically specifying that you want to do something with that computer. netdom rename computer, that's when you can change the name of the computer. netdom remove is when you want to remove the computer from the domain or the work group. netdom query queries the domain for membership and trust relationship settings. netdom resets, it resets the secure relationship between the workstation and the domain controller. Command to join domain will be netdom join, and then you can use what is called an environmental variable. What environmental variable is, and we went over this real quick. Like, so if you go here, and if you guys recall this, But if you go into advanced settings and you go into this guy here, and is it here? No, it's not here. Is it some protection remote? I know it's here. Computer name, no, advanced. Environmental variables. Oh my God, it was right in my face. So what environmental variables are is certain stuff that if you type, it means something to the computer. So like, for example, the environmental variable called temp really means C:/Windows/temp, right? If you type username, it means the system, right? This is what they translate to, right? Path, that stuff. So you can add it, you can set different ones as well. Developers do that a lot to make programming easier. But if you type computer name and close the environmental variable, that's how you put an environmental variable on Windows. These essentially correspond to this computer specifically. So this will translate to Win1, which is the name of this computer. And if you go /domain, domain, oh, that's not it. Yeah, domain vdom /reboot. So this essentially will join the computer to a domain, right? Just kind of like how you enter commands there. That is an alternate to that, which is using PowerShell. And let's just go real quick here in PowerShell. So PowerShell, they use things a little bit different. They have a thing that is called a verb and a noun type of thing. Every time you want to do something in PowerShell, you're going to do a verb. Like, for example, you want to add something to the domain. So you're going to go add dash, and you want to add what? You want to add a computer. Oops. Computer. He also has tab completion. So if you don't know the whole structure and you press tab, it auto completes itself. Just press space and then you go domain. Oops, domain name. That's not the one I want. Domain name. Domain name. And then you put the domain, which mine is Sith Worlds. Right? And restart. Right? So this is how you do this in PowerShell. That's the difference, right? This is the new thing. Windows is trying to move away from command prompt. Also, if you want to do stuff on a client, such as this that I have here, that I have it open still, like administer a domain controller remotely, you need to install something called RSAT tools, right? They may be already installed on Windows 10, but typically what you have to do, you have to go to a link. Let's see, Windows 10. RSAT tools. And you need to download this called Remote Server Administration Tools, right, for Windows 10. And you need to download, I don't know if it's going to, yeah, you need to download for your specific Windows build, right? So I guess if the latest is this one this is for Windows 10, right? This will be actually, since I'm on a 64-bit operating system, this will be the one for me. If I was a Windows Server 2016, this would be the one that I'll be downloading. Now I have that already installed, but the thing is you need to know is that after you use the MSU or Microsoft Update package, you will have to go into Control Panel. Oh, this is not the guy. There you go. Control Panel. You need to go into Uninstall Programs, and you need to do this here. Turn on and off features, because once you install that, that will not be enabled right out of the gates. After installation, you have to go into, I have a place here. Where is it? I have it enabled already. I cannot find it. Is it this? Huh. I don't think they have it anymore. Did I have to do that this? Okay, so before there used to be a place here that you had to enable this as it is a feature. I don't think you have to do that anymore. And I don't remember if I did. But you had to do this previously. If you're running on Windows 2012, or if you're on Windows 8 or Windows 7, you had to go here and there'll be an option here for you to enable that feature. I guess you no longer have to. But yeah. Well, since we're here, if you want to enable Hyper-V, which is the bare metal hypervisor, the type 1 hypervisor, this is where you go about it. Windows 10 supports this. So you can have a bare metal hypervisor on your computer free of charge if you already have Windows 10. It has some limitations. You don't have the full functionality of it, but it works pretty well for lab environments. So anyways, I guess you don't need to, just install it and it's activated. But typically this is where you had to go. All right, so let's see what else. Network location types. So location types, let's go to the Windows firewall thing, Windows security, Windows firewall. This may be the best one. Yes. So they have this thing called, and I think I mentioned to you guys before, is the location types, right? You have domain, you have private networks, and you have guest or public. What these are, it's a pre-made setting from Microsoft for best practices that applies to the general public for what needs to be blocked and what needs to be allowed on your box firewall wise, right? This is something that Windows did not have prior to, I believe, Windows XP, and it was one of the biggest vulnerabilities of Windows. That's why back in the 90s, people used to think that Windows had such a weak security, is because Windows basically allowed anybody to connect to it. Like, it was very easy to hack. After Windows XP, things began to time down a bit, and that's when you see that in place. Now, Linux always had something like that in place. That's why Linux was known to be a secure system. So you guys got any questions about this? Because I know I mentioned this stuff before. Like this the one that you want to use if you are in a coffee shop somewhere on the Wi-Fi, because it's going to block all connections to apps that are not listed on your allowed apps list, right? So this is the type of stuff that you want to have in place. If you are at your house, you're going to have less restrictions because you have a wireless router also with a firewall, most likely, keeping things out. So, and it has an ISP also, several different things to get in contact with your network. Let's go to, he asked me to talk a little bit about home groups, but it's something that I'm not going to be able to really demo with you guys on Windows 10. So if you guys go into the use certified stuff, I put the use certified slideshow for this class. What happened? Didn't I have it open? Okay, let's go back here. This guy. PC. There you go. So if you guys, oh my God, let's see. So if you guys go here, no, not a syllabus, on instructional notes, you will see that I put down this slideshow here. And I think I put the other one was 15. Did I put that down yet? I don't think I have it here yet. Yeah, I'm gonna add. It's the PowerPoints for it, but it's gonna look like this. So I got these out of the use certify. Is basically slideshows for chapter 10 if you guys need it for any reason. It goes over some of the stuff that we're going, but it's just like, you know, a bunch of text. I didn't want to do that to you guys. Yeah. That's why I'm doing the lab thing. So that is another one that I'm gonna post it. That's gonna go over a little bit deeper on home groups. You know, of course, if you read the chapter, I mean, you know what it is, and we kind of touch base already on it. So, but I'm not really gonna go over that because I don't think it's necessary. Folder sharing. So let's go over a little bit folder sharing here. Get out of this guy. Open this. And let's open this. And let's open this guy. So folder sharing. Let's make a folder. So I have this folder, right? So the ways you can share, if you go and click on properties, you have these ways here. You can make just, turn this into a share, and you can give maybe, you can give permissions to some user, or you can give permissions to everyone, which is not a very good practice, but I'm gonna do this to make things easier. And you can give different permissions to that person, right? In this case, the person can only read, right? And we can make it shareable. For a person to connect to this, they'll have to use that to connect to this share. And that's it. So I am actually essentially sharing this folder in this network. I don't have another Windows box here. Actually, I do. I think I do. We can use maybe the install. I think it was over. And I can just do a little switch and we can try connecting to that share the way you go about it normally. You guys got any questions so far?
So far, so good.
All right. So let's do a change here on the network and put this guy in the internal network that can talk to my Windows domain. There you go. So if I go here, yes, so I'm on the right network. So if I go here and I put, come on, I don't think I have a lot of resources on this guy here. Yeah. If I go here and I go // win one class, I can get inside that share, right? So if I make a file here, let's see, I'm gonna make a file. I don't have any permissions. Why? Anybody knows? This is one of those gotcha ones. Cambro?
All right, changing from what just happened. So this is let's see here on network Windows class. Oh, never mind. I thought you were in like a protected
I'm
system
there.
folder.
I'm inside the folder. Why can I not make a file from this box?
It's a protected system folder.
Because of permissions.
Right.
You remember when I set up the folder, I gave permissions to everyone. So it allows anybody to connect to that share, but they only have read permissions. So as you can see here, over here, oops, let's go back one, look into the class folder, which is shared, and you look at the sharing, you'll see that everyone only has read permissions. Now, if I switch that to read and write, now you're gonna see that if I go on that box and hit try again, I'll be able to make a file because now I can write to it. And if you go back here to the owner of the folder and you open the folder, you're gonna see that file there, right? So this is sharing essentially. And this kind of like how it works on a work group, which you have to assign all these individual permissions. So you can see how that can become a little cumbersome if you have like 10 PCs and they all have different shares, they share amongst each other and you have to manage all those permissions. It can become really painful to do. That's why you have a centralized server to do that. In Windows, they have something called DFS, which is their network sharing service that you can use it on a server, right? That manages all that. So you can do all that in one place. Now, another thing that I want to show you guys is drive mapping. So doing this that I did and having to give the name of our computer to people can become very annoying because what's going to happen is if let's go back to the other computer, the client. So this guy, if I reboot this computer, and I go back into this guy here on the C directory, you will not see that class folder. Every time you close this, as a matter of fact, you're gonna have to go back into Windows Explorer. And yes, you have the recent files here that you can just go and open, but at one point, you're not gonna have that there because you did so much things on your computer and you're gonna have to go back here and you're gonna have to go and type, win1, and it becomes annoying, right? So what you can do is you can go into computer and you can map that drive. You can map that to a drive. You pick a drive letter, something random, and you go and do win1 class, right? And you want to make sure you browse to make sure that you got the right place. Okay, you're in the right place. That's what you want to map, right? You click OK. And you want to make sure that you reconnect as sign in. What does that mean? That means that when you reboot the computer, this drive will be mounted automatically for you. You're not gonna have to redo it. Now, this option for connect using different credentials, this is when you are in a work group, right? And the permissions are set to you as an individual user on that work group. You will have your own set of credentials to that computer, right? Which may not be the ones you use to log in Windows with. So you have to set this up and it's gonna prompt you for a username or password to connect to that specific computer. And that's why you use that for. Otherwise, if it is a domain, you're not gonna need to worry about that. Or if it is just one share that you share to everyone, you're not gonna need to worry about that as well. So if you click finish, you will now see that if you go into this computer, that drive is mapped right here. Is the Z drive now. It becomes the Z drive. Right? Make sense?
Yes, sir.
So that's all about that stuff, right? Now, another thing you guys need to be aware is public folders. So public folders are for local users to share stuff amongst themselves. So if you're here on the box and if you go here into see users, my profile, and you're gonna see something. What is the public folder at? It's supposed to be here. Oh, no, it's not here. It's on the users default, no, public. So here. So every time you use public folders, let's see, I put a file here, right? Anybody that has a profile in this box will be able to access it. Stuff on the public folders. That's what that's for. A little bit about home groups. Again, we're not going to touch much about that, but when you create and join a home group, you share your user folders and printers. By default, all your media folders are shared. So if you have a home group, this guy will be shared. But this guy here is not going to be shared because those are your documents. Make sense? You can also customize it and have folders here shared on the home group. You know, maybe you want to share your documents. You could add to it, but not by default. Administrative shares. These are shares set by Windows for administrative purposes. So Windows domain has something called, if I click on, I believe it's DC1, that's how I named it. Actually, no, let's just put Sith Worlds. Which is the name of the domain. And if I put .com, where is it? .com, I think. And sysvol. Nope. I may have messed that up. Let's see the name of the domain controller. I think it's DC1. I forgot how I named it. But that is a share on the domain controls that I'm able to access it. There you go. It is DC1. So let's go here. Yeah, it's .com. Sith World. All right. So if I go DC1 dot Sith World. You should be able to see something here. Yeah, there you go. So sysvol folder, right? It's a folder that all my group policies are stored. And scripts, like if I have a logon script that runs, that does a task on every box, this is where that script will be stored. I can also set up folders here and put all my IT tools here, for example. And I can stick up a bunch of IT tools here. So every box that I go, I can connect to this folder, you know, and get my administrative tools, right, from there. So this is what that is. You also have a folder called netlogon, which let me just pull it up. I think it's better to get a description from Microsoft. Here you go. So the netlogon folder is a shared folder that contains group policy login scripts. So this is where they'll be located at. While the other one will be any other scripts, right? Log off scripts will be there most likely. Honestly, you can also use them interchangeably. I personally never mess with netlogon. I typically just put everything here on the scripts and go with that. They work either way, right? Browsing the network, I already showed you. if you want to browse the network, is basically the name of the computer, and whatever folder you're trying to access, they have a share is going to show up. You can also use the network thing, but you have to have network discovery on. This is a vulnerability because it allows people to search you, right? Sharing printers, much the same way. You go into the properties on the printer. I have one installed on my desktop that is actually my home printer. Let me just see if I can pull it up here, guys. Hold on. Devices and printers. Okay. So this is actually my home printer. If I click manage, can I print the properties? There you go. So I can actually share this. I'm not gonna be able to because this is a lab environment, but yeah, I can share access to their printers with different clients. I'm not gonna be able to do this in this environment because I do not have ability to get in touch with my printer through here because of the firewall that I have in place. But yeah, that's essentially how you go about it. It is the same way to load a printer. If you have a printer in a domain, you basically will go here and you type the domain name, Sith Worlds, or the domain controller. And it should take you to this. And if you have a printer that you're sharing on the network, it's going to have another folder here called printers. And that's how you'll be doing that share. But double clicking on the printer that you're sharing, the client is going to be able to pull all the drivers that they need and immediately begin to use that printer. Let's move on here. There are instructions on how to do this on my outline, but we're not going to be able to go through that here. Offline files. So that is a way that you can sync some of your files with the network. If you have some of your stuff it's like you have a user profile that could be synced to your domain controllers. This way, depending on like if you have to move to a different workstation, you'll be able to pull some of those files with you. And this is done with the offline filing thing. So if you go, I believe is click easy access. Is it? No. Offline. Let's see offline files. I know how to do that on Windows 7. Let me pull that over here. Okay, so control panel, it's the same way. Okay, sounds good to me. So control panel, back here, go into, I don't think I have this here though, because I'll have to have that enabled, I think, on the domain controller. Sync. Oh, it's here, sync center. Okay, so you can manage this stuff here by enabling offline files and disabling, of course. You can open your sync center. You check for conflicts, sync results. You can set up partnerships, manage your offline files, view offline files. So there you go. This will be basically it's tied to your profile, your map drives, whatever you have under here. So typically is just your profile stuff, right? That you're going to be using here. Now, this can be managed, it typically is managed on a domain scale. And if you're happen that you got boot off the domain, or if you're working for something at home, as soon as you get back to work, those files will get synced with what you have online. So this is what this is for. Net command. So let's go back to the command line here again. Net command. So let's do net.help. Net help. So these are the several different things you can do with the net command. You can list net share, you can list, create, remove network shares. This is a way to do the network sharing stuff via command line. Net use displays and connects to shares on remote computers. Net view lists the computers and devices on the network. So this is an easy one to do. Do net view. You can see all the computers on the network. Should be able to, at least. I guess it's pulling information. That is nothing. Well, we are not on a work group, so that's that. Net file shows and closes open files on a server. Net session lists the ends communications of your network. So if you do net sessions, you see that what's going on here. Net computer adds and removes computer from domain. So this is another way to add computers to domain. You could use that. Net starts and stops services. A reason why I used this in the past was to do that on the command line. Stop services before. I have done that via the net command. Time sync can also be used via the net command. I have done that in the past as well. Remote desktop, we have the RDP, remote desktop connection. We cannot really do anything here. Actually, you might be able to do it with this guy here. If we allow it, let's go to the sharing center here and open remote desktop connections. And it's open settings, sharing settings. And let's turn on, no, that's not it. It was here. It's not internet options. It's kind of firewall. Hold on. Change it up to settings. Let's put remote. Might be easier. Remote desktop settings. There you go. So let's enable remote desktop. Confirm. Okay. So make my computer discoverable on private networks. Whatever there. Okay. So we can either use this. I don't know if I can copy and paste that into here. Let's see. No, I can't. It's not gonna let me. So, or we can use the IP of that box. I think it's easier for the IP. So let's just do a CMD, IP config. And that is 192.168.1. Let me just move it over here so I can copy. 192.168.1.105. And I'm initiating. Now, you see this here, cthworld/administrator. So this is a domain account. I am not connected to a domain. So since I'm connecting to a box, I need to log in with the different credentials. This since this is a work station that is not joined to a domain, I need to put the name of the computer here first, which is desktop dash R69 FVDR slash, see how domain changed now to the name of the computer? And I believe I have an account there called Will. Because I always name myself Will. Let me see if that's my name. Yep. And the password should be the same that I use across the board. And should be able to click OK and establish a session. Now this is trying to exchange a certificate. You can have that as a form of second factor authentication, but we're not using certificate, so we're just going to click OK. And I am now remoted into that other Windows box. It's loading stuff. It's a little slow, I guess. Need to unlock the computer. Seems, oh no, it's unlocked. There you go. So this is the other computer, right? So if I minimize this, as you can see, this is a remote desktop session into this computer, right? So as soon as you remote desktop into a box, that box is gonna lock up. So if I try to log in here, right? This is what's gonna happen. You have been disconnected because another connection has been made to the remote computer. So your RDP is gonna drop. If that is another person logged into that computer, Windows allows up to 2 people connected to the same box remotely at the same time. If that is a third person, you're gonna have a chance to either drop that person or not remote desktop to that computer anymore. However, there are enterprise ways of doing so that you have unlimited users to the computers, right? But it costs more money. You have to have a remote gateway service running. So, you know, that is that as well. Let's see, that is also something called, and let's go to the little box here, since it's our little remote desktop demo. You can ask for somebody to help you out remotely, right? You can use something called MSRA, Microsoft Remote Assistance. That's what that stands for. And you can offer, actually, I can request that. So as this guy, I can go MSRA offer RA to, let's go to the other computer here. I need to have an IP or something. So if I put the IP 192.168.1.105, I should be receiving something here, asking for it. It's gonna attempt to assist this guy. May be able to. I may have to set up remote assistance here as well. Let's go remote assist. Allow remote assistance invitation being sent. So allow connections from computers. So I'm allowing that. Allow remote assistance connections to this computer. Advanced. Okay, well, not doing it. Maybe because I'm not on the same domain. That could be it. Could not either because unable to find a he wasn't able to find a computer. You can also try the computer name. Let's see if that works. Should be able to copy and paste from here now. Use. Let's try via computer name. I don't think it's gonna work. If they were in the same domain, this would work though. But what this guy can do though also is he can request, he can send an invitation. He can send an invitation. So you can save an invitation file and you can put that on that share directory that we have right here. I think it went through, I don't know. Maybe. Let's see if we have the invitation here. Go on the class folder. Yep. So let's see if that works. You can get this from the person. So let's go back here. This is the password. Let's go put that there. F T S F M N G B K N F J. Okay. And is attempting to connect. Let's see if the whole thing's gonna work or not. Yep. So after connecting, administrator will be able to see whatever you see. Sure, they can see whatever I see. So right now, I don't have any control on this box. Also, there is a chat option. I can send messages and communicate with that person essentially. Oh, you can see here. I can also, being on this box here, I can authorize them to do more than just seeing the computer. I think there's an option here. This used to be, how do I request it? Request control. So if I say yes here, right? And allow administrator to use user control prompts, yes. So I'm allowing them to do whatever they want on this computer. So now me as the administrator, I can go here, I can click on this guy and I can start doing stuff. I took control of the user station. Now, you can do the same thing with some third-party tools as well. And I just want to bring this up because if you are in an enterprise environment, you will not be using this tool from Microsoft because it's not as good as some of the stuff like Team Viewer. This is one of them. Okay, so this is a tool that will allow you to do the same thing. And there is another tool called Log Me In, which is actually older than TeamViewer, that you see that stuff being used as well. Either or, they will offer you a better experience. I mean, there are other ones as well that you can use for remote administration, but bottom line is the one that comes with Windows, this remote assistance thing, it's not good. It really doesn't work that well. It's clunky. It's slow to respond. It has a lot of issues in between. And most likely you'll have a better time using some of the proprietary ones. Another thing to know is TeamViewer and LogMeIn are typically free. If you, for example, want to remote your computer at home from school, for example, I mean, you're not going to be able to do that, but if you have a desktop at home and you have a laptop and you're elsewhere on the country and you want to access your home computer, you can use that as well for free. You should be able to. They only ask you to pay if it is a company, if you're using for business purposes. But if it is just for like trying to fix your grandmother computer, for example, it will be totally fine to use TeamViewer or LogMeIn for free. So you guys know about that as well. Let's move on here to other remote services. So now we can go into features here. Okay, what is it? Let's go back to the other screen. I got used to the category ones. Okay, so if you go into uninstall and remember turn on and off features, I don't know if they have it here, but there should be a telnet server. There you go, telnet client. So telnet is a way to remote via command line to another computer. It is not very common anymore to use telnet because telnet is super whatchamacallit, vulnerable, because everything, if you open the network, everything goes in clear text. Now we can actually go into look for a public telnet server. Public telnet servers, the good thing about this is that you can connect to other telnet servers out there that people have. There you go. This is all weather telnet. You can just click there. It's just random, you know, whatchamacallit. It's pretty safe. Invalid. I think you got to type connect. Nope. Okay, let's go help. Open. Open. Oh. That guy. There you go. We're connecting. Should be able to, I would think. Oh no, because my firewall wouldn't permit us doing it. But if we switch this network to net, we should be able to do it now. Let's try again. There you go. Now we are connected to the National Weather Service Information Center, right? We click enter to continue. We can put a zip code here. That's my zip code, guys. No, that's not it. That's not it. Oh, whatever. Let's just type that. There you go. Print the city. Select the city. I don't know the city. Okay, I think I need to exit. Let's put another man. Okay, I guess I gotta do it for reals. Okay, that's my zip code. Print forecast for the selected city. 1. Enter 3-letter city code. Nope. Yeah. There you go, Miami. So that's the forecast in Miami. So this is what telnet is, right? The problem is, and I'm going to show you guys, I have something called Wireshark, which is analyzer, protocol analyzer. So if I throw that, let me put the right interface. This is the right interface. Now everything network-wise is going to be coming through here, right? You'll be able to see it. So if I go back here and start talking to this guy here, let's go back. Menu. Okay, let's try to do the forecast again. And let's do, well, what was it? Mia. Okay. All right, cool. So we had some packets. Let's stop this guy. Let's filter TCP for 23. Let's pin down the telnet traffic. So if you look here, right, this is all the telnet traffic that was going on between me and that guy. Now, that is something that you can do here, which is follow the TCP stream, which basically gives you all the information clear text. Now you can see that how easy it is to crack somebody's password if they're trying to use telnet, right? Basically the password will be right here in the open, right? And I just use a little protocol analyzer to see that. Because of that, we use something called SSH. Now, Windows is beginning to support SSH now. If you go into PowerShell, before you had to get some application on the side like PuTTY, but you should be able to do SSH using this guy now. Let me see if I can connect to my Linux box. I wonder if I'm able to. I don't know if I have any security stopping. I'm not gonna play with the firewall here, but let's see if config. No, I don't have it. Oh, here. I'm just going to interface card. Oh, I'm not on the same network. I'm not gonna be able to talk to this guy. Anyways, but basically we use SSH for that kind of stuff now. SSH will allow me to have the same things that you saw here, right? But everything is going to be encrypted, right? So you're not going to be able to decipher what's going on the TCP stream. And that's basically it for remote tools. Now let's go over some CLI tools for networking purposes. That is the IP config, which gives you basically IP information. That is another one that you can do all, which gives you a lot more than just that. Now this one is gonna go a little bit deeper, right? It's getting even since I'm on the NAT network, let me switch back to lab. Make sure it's come back. You're gonna see that that's gonna change a bit. There you go. So as you can see now, I don't have this is my home router information is no longer here. Now this is connected straight to my firewall, the pfSense firewall, right? The DNS is my domain controller. The HTTP is the firewall, the gateway is the firewall, everything. You can also do something called flush DNS. And this clears your DNS cache. So if you go to websites back and forth, you start going to your DNS server and you start getting some of the stuff cached locally on your computer. So let's see that site changes its IP, right? But I have a cache in my DNS cache to go to the previous IP. I'm not gonna be able to connect to the website. So a flush DNS can solve that problem. And it's super easy, like DNS is flush now. So next time I try to go to the website, it's gonna go to my DNS server to get the actual current record. It's not something that happens often, but sometimes you need to do it. There is also register DNS is another command, which is to manually register a DNS server. You can display the DNS. Right, gives you the information about your DNS server. You can also do something called release and renew. So release and renew is if you have any issues with connectivity and it's related to your DHCP server. So if you notice that you're not be able to connect to the internet, but you know everything on the network is fine, you can do a release. This is going to release your IP, and you do a renew. Renew is gonna ask the DHCP server for a new IP. So a new lease is gonna be set here. So basically you're resetting your connection to the DHCP. There you go. So now I'm back online again. This is a common issue. It could happen in your house. You may have issues like that. Sometimes it's a conflict with same IP be assigned to the same IP via the DHCP. Sometimes a machine was off and it kept the lease, and another machine came up and you got the lease, like a new lease for the same IP, and they have a conflict. We can use the NB is that. This will give you a diagnostic for the net BIOS. Now, net BIOS is a Windows protocol for networking, which is not even the main protocol anymore. But if you need to do some net BIOS troubleshooting, this is what this tool will do. And this is what every option does. This one lists all the remote machines. So we can do a -A. And I guess you need a remote name as well. Oh, it gives you an adapter status. So to see all the names, you have to do an N. There you go. Those are all the unique information on the network. Right? You can look at sessions. See all the sessions. And that's what that is. Now, there is another one called netstat. This is super useful because it has to do with all your ports. So if you do netstat-A, you're gonna see all your TCP and UDP connections, everything that's going on, from broadcasting to your local to stuff that is only your connection here. Everything is here. Now, if you're trying to figure it out, your open ports, right, which will be something that me as a security person will be trying to look, or if you're having issues trying to connect to a specific server that you're hosting, you could do a netstat dash an p. And this will only look for stuff that you're actively listening for connections. We don't hosting anything, but if we were to have a web server with open port 80 and open port 443 for other people to connect to the web server, you see those two ports actively listening there, waiting for something. NS lookup. This is a DNS tool, right? So you look up IP versus addresses. So like example, I can do NS lookup google.com, and this should give me the IP of Google, right? If I go a little further and I inquire about, let's see, www, maybe it's a different IP. Yep, is a different IP because it's a different machine. So this is their actual name server, while this would be an actual web server that's hosting their website, right? That's why they have different IPs. That's what NS lookup does. Ping is to verify that you have a connection to somewhere. So you want to make sure that first your computer works network-wise. So you do ping to your loopback address, which is 127.0.0.1. So you make sure that you're able to talk to yourself, right? I know it sounds silly, but it's actually a troubleshooting thing. You want to make sure that your network works. And now you can go and try to connect to the internet. Oops. You can even go domain name. It works. And I verify that I'm able to connect to Google. So I have connectivity to the internet, right? You can also try to see if you can connect to your internal network. Let's see, I'm trying to connect to my router. The 168.1.1. Oh, that doesn't exist. What was my router name again? IP config -a. Oh, all. Okay, so my router is, yeah, that's right. Okay, so why wouldn't I be able to? Oh, because I didn't put ping. There you go. I'm able to connect to my router. So this can assist you in locating where the problem is, right? So let's see if I had internet connectivity problems, I wouldn't be able to do this, right? So let's see here. If I were to change this to a different network that doesn't have anything hosting, right? And I try to do pinggoogle.com, you see how it's taking so long? It's going to give me some errors, right? So it's not going to be able to connect. So the ping is going to fail. Ping request cannot find google.com because I don't even have name resolution for it, right? Because I'm on a different network altogether. If I go back to the network and I go back to lab and do ping, oops, I gotta wait. Okay, now I'm back on. I'll be able to connect to it. So it could also be troubleshooting internally. Maybe you cannot connect to your router, but you can connect to your local switch. So this can help you figure it out where that specific problem is, right? You have different options. You can set a specific number of messages. Maybe you want to set more than 4, which is the standard for Windows. Linux just keeps going. You actually have to manually stop it if it's on a Linux box. You can attempt to reverse DNS lookup, which is basically this. If you do a -r, you need an IP. Oh, doesn't work. It needs a valid from 1 through 9. Bad value. Let's do ping reverse. Ping -r. Oops, that's not it. Almost there. There you go. Let's see here. Doesn't show you. That's not a good guide. It's okay. The Microsoft website was right there. Yeah. There you go, Microsoft guide. So this should give you more plausible information here. So -r, oh, there you go, counts. So this is for routing, but that's not what I was looking for. I think I have the Linux one. Yeah, reverse is actually /a, ping /a. There you go. That's a reverse lookup. You can do time to live, which will give you more time in those packets. So that means if they are delayed for some reason, you're giving them more time on the line. This could happen, like if you have, sometimes when you have a firewall in place, maybe it takes a little longer to get out of your network to go to the destination. So you might want to pad it a little bit. Because if not, you may have that failing. You could force to use IPv6. So there are several options there for pinging. Let's go now to another tool called Trace Route or Trace RT. Trace RT will give you a picture of the actual routing as it connects. So you're trying to go, let's see, we're trying to go to www, let's go trace RT. This is more specific, it's better than going to the DNS. So if you go to the actual web server, right? You do a trace RT, it takes a little bit, but you're gonna see all the hops that it goes through. From my home router, which is, so this is my firewall, this is my home router, this is the internet, this is the internet, this is the internet, this is the internet, internet, until it gets all the way, as you can see, I'm in Florida still, right? Comcast, my service provider, and it gets all the way to Google, right? This is Google. So that's what trace RT can tell you. Now trace RT will tell you if you're having issues such as packet loss, right? You're gonna see that sometimes the time to live is too long. You're gonna see some of this stuff come up with question marks, and it may indicate you're having packet loss, right? That is another one called path ping, which is essentially this guy, but it gives you a lot more detail. This will give you more awareness on latency and stuff like that. So it's a much better command to use. Typically, whenever I'm trying to do this, trace RT is just to get you a quick glimpse if you're having connectivity issues in one of those routes. But path ping will actually calculate a bunch of stuff for you. It's much more detailed information.
You need the you need internet connection for this command prompt to follow through.
I mean, if you're trying to connect to something over the internet, yes. But if you're just trying to get something locally, you don't need an internet connection for that.
So it shows you the ping location of like where your internet is tethering the internet or whatever. Am I saying that correctly? I think it's tethering the ping, the servers, the internet connection, all that. It tells you everything.
It tells you the gateways that is going to hit until it gets to the destination, right?
That's cool. So we just type in just that command and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Thank you.
But you need to have a destination, right? Not just the command, right? So trace RT, you put the destination is going to give you. So this here, right? This 192.168.1.1, this is my first gateway, right? Which is this guy here, this firewall, right? Then it's gonna hit my wireless router that is sitting right there, right? This is it. From here is going to go to my internet service provider. And it stays there for a bit.
That's really
This is
cool.
all
What the hell?
Comcast.
What?
And then it goes into some public routers, that are out there, and then it hits where Google is located. The path ping is still calculating here, but it's going to give you a lot more detailed information though.
Yeah, I remember sometimes using that to like figure out, like try to figure out like the ping between me and a particular server.
Yeah, that's, you either want to go into path ping or trace RT, but path ping is for Windows is a lot better. There are some third-party tools that you can use that give you a lot more detail. Also on Linux, they have a tool called MTR. MTR will give you persistency. So it's a live trace route that you run. So you can see you could see over a period of 5 minutes if you have some latency, right? While path ping is just going to give you, or trace route is going to give you something that happening right now. But sometimes the problem could be, ongoing, and maybe it's not happening all the time. Maybe something that happens, I don't know, every time you do something on the computer specific and you're trying to nail down the problem, path ping is not going to give you the answer. So I wonder if I can do that here on my Linux box. Let's see. I don't know if I have MTR, I may have to install it. MTR. I don't even know if I'm connected. Nope. Oh, I need sudo. Nope. I'm having connection issues here with this guy today. So I'm not gonna be able to show you guys, but yeah, I know you can totally do it with MTR. Oh, while we're still calculating, I can show you guys my trace route. That's the name of it. And let's just look at images. You should be able to see it. So this is what MTR can do for you. And you can leave it running, right? Oops. You can leave it running. So you leave it for 5 minutes and you can see the average. You can see how much packet loss you had. Like you see over here, 93% packet loss on this router here, right? This can give you clues to why you're having issues connecting to a specific place, right? Yeah, I'm still running this. All right, let's move on to a different one. We'll go back to that whenever. So some networking troubleshooting, always to go about it. First thing you need to think about is follow the path approach. Track the traffic through the network to look for parts that are working right and some that don't. So that's why you use those tools for to figure that out. Another way, another approach that you can have to troubleshooting network problems is a top-down approach. You move down the network, down the stack, and you move all the way to the application. So you start looking at stuff like Wireshark, which is the packets, and then you start going into, you're using these tools here until you figure out, oh, maybe it's an application problem, right? So you start looking through that. Actually, I think that's reverse. Network application all the way down through the network level operation. So make sure the application is working. Now, the opposite of that is the bottom-up approach. That's when you start looking at packets first and you start going up there. Connection status issues. Those are some of the problems that you can encounter. You need to make sure, troubleshooting that, you need to first make sure that your physical connection is secure. I need to verify that the adapter is enabled on Windows. Remember, I showed you guys how to do all that on the Network Sharing Center. Go over here and go. Well, you can't even go here. And you make sure that this guy, well, this guy is. If you go on the Network Sharing Center, you can actually go change adapter settings and make sure that this guy is not disabled. Right? Make sure that all the correct drivers and device bindings are installed. Device bindings, it kind of refers to this kind of stuff. Right? You're trying to run a specific protocol. You want to make sure that that's being used. It could be something else as well. If you are a web server and you're hosting a website on port 80, you want to make sure that that port is being bounded in the system. And the way you can see that is by using the net stat, to see what your computer is actively listening to. So if you see what we saw when we did it, which is nothing, right? If you go back up here, I don't think you can go all the way back up there anymore. Can you? Yeah, because we did an SLOOKUP net stats here. And I showed you guys. Yep, all the way up. Right here. So if you do a net stats -ANP and you see nothing, that means your computer is not actively listening. So you see how you see this listening up here? Your computer is not really listening here, right? This is something internal. But when you actually have an open port, that's when you are actively listening. Still going. Wow, taking a while there. So you want to make sure that, that's what binding means, right? If your connection requires authentication, you want to make sure that you have the right credentials for that. If your computer has multiple network interfaces, make sure that Windows is using the right one. So that's when you have more than one network interface card. You want to make sure that you are, connected to the right one. Also, intermittent drops or slow speeds can be caused by substandard wiring. Maybe you have some issues on your wire. If it was a custom cable, maybe that cable is not as good. Maybe whenever your contractors are laying wiring to the building, they didn't do a good job, but you can tell that right away because you're gonna have those issues from the get-go. Improper duplexing settings, which you guys can see through here. Let me configure right here. Right here. So maybe you don't have the right one selected, right? Network setting issues. So IP addresses must be unique. Like for example, let's say you decided to do static IPs on a network. Like you go into properties, click on this guy. You decide to do this statically, and maybe you put the same IP as your gateway. Typo, right? So that could cause problems, of course. Or if you didn't put on the right subnet, that could be a problem as well. APIPA or local link addresses, that 169 dot whatever, or local link will be, link local will be 127 dot whatever. We allow communication on local network, but not across routers. Right? 127.1.1 does the 0.0.1, it's only local. Like you're not gonna be able to connect to any other machine. 169 allows you to do that, but that's a Windows thing. If we are using DHCP, try releasing and renewing the lease. I showed you guys how to do that. If your DHCP server is not available, configure a valid static setting to open that connection. That's another alternative to DHCP. IP address alone isn't enough. You need to have a default gateway, which is basically your closest router. You need to configure a subnet mask for it as well, so it knows what network to connect to. Ability to connect to an IP address, but not a domain name suggests DNS problems. So maybe you need to clear DNS cache. If you're using DHCP, make sure the DHCP servers are also configured and they're automatically configured. If not, you may have to do it manually. You could try using a different DNS server if that's the case as well. Remember, IPv4 and IPv6 must be configured separately. They are different, right? And if you're using IPv4 only on a network, you don't need to have IPv6 enabled, and vice versa. I mean, it really depends on how you run your network, but I definitely keep IPv4 enabled. Not the other way around though. A limited connection to local resources, but not internet resources, can be a variety of causes. Verify that your IP address, gateway, DNS settings are all correct. That's one of the things to go about it. Because maybe you're connecting to the internet, but you're using Google as a DNS server and not your local DNS. That could be the problem. That's why you cannot connect it to local resources. If the network uses a web proxy or requires other special client setting, site settings, verify that they are correctly configured. If multiple hosts on the same network are experiencing internet connectivity problems, check the router or WAN for issues. So this is something that PathPink will help you. I'm surprised that that's taking really long. It should have come up already, those statistics. If some applications connects to the network but others don't, verify that is a firewall that may be blocking, right? or maybe it's a proxy setting that you may have in place. Like in my case here, I may have, and let's see if I can go to that guy. Proceed. And then so in my case here, I happen to be running a firewall. So if you go into rules and you go on LAN, as you can see here, I'm blocking a lot of stuff from coming in the network, not out. If you look at my outgoing, everything's fine. I'm blocking stuff coming in. So you see my WAN here, everything is it's disabled. Cool. My WAN is open, really. But here I have only HTTPS and HTTP open for inbound connections. So people can only connect from the outside to my network if they are going HTTP or HTTPS. If I have a telnet server and somebody's trying to get in from the outside, they're not going to be able to, right? So that is that. Actually, this is my LAN. Yeah, this is quite the opposite. Yeah. I need to do some working on this firewall here. I don't think it's properly configured. This is supposed to be enabled. Reload. Yeah, I think I was playing on this stuff and I changed some rules. Oh no, it was enabled. Never mind. That was still disabled. I'm used to dealing with other firewalls, but yeah. So basically, everything on my WAN is open right now, right? But that's not what you want. You want to start limiting some of that connection. So right now I have HTTP, HTTPS open locally, right? But I don't have anything else configured here. Right? I have a denied rule here. This was planned to be a deny, but it's not a deny. But yeah, so basically going back to where we were here, verify that is not your firewall blocking such applications, right? Because that could be it. Let me see what else. Could be a proxy as well. Also, maybe your router is having issues. Could be that. Could be something over the internet. If some applications, okay, if you have an inability to access resources in your local network, even when your network connectivity it's okay, it's likely due to network security settings. So make sure that you have permissions to access those resources. Make sure that you're using the appropriate network discovery. Maybe remember those shares. Remote desktop. I needed to make myself on this box here searchable, right? I needed to open that for other Windows users to be able to connect to me. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to find me. On Active Directory, verify that you have domain membership. If you don't, maybe that's the problem. Also, security groups, maybe on the wrong Active Directory security group. On the Wi-Fi network, make sure that you are not a guest or isolated network. So you could set up stuff like that on a Wi-Fi network, your home Wi-Fi, for example. For example, Xfinity has something automatically that they set up that you could go into somebody's house if you're an Xfinity user, and you can connect into the Xfinity network that they have on your the person that you visit's router, right? Verify, and they're trying to share a file with you through the network. Maybe they are on their local network and you are connecting on the Xfinity. So it's an isolated network. You need to make sure that you are on the correct one. Verify that you have the right credentials to access the resources, like work groups, right? Remember, if you don't have credentials to log in into a specific resource in a work group, you're not going to be able to access it. Inability to send or receive email may due to firewall spam filter. That's something that blocks, unwanted email, at least in theory. But first place is check the email client itself. Make sure that you have the right server name, the right port, the right encryption protocol, the right authentication settings. The SMTP server will have a different port. It's port 25 typically, possibly a different name. If the account has webmail access, check to make sure that the account itself is working. Also look to see if your client supports the type of connection. For example, Thunderbird is an email client from Mozilla. For you to have, if you happen to have an email through your business or even the BC email that uses Office 365, you have to do some modifications to allow that, because Thunderbird will not support that connection. Okay, so we are going to cut off for today because it's 10:15. Let me just mark where I'm gonna return in the next class for it. Second, guys, talk that you guys lose because I don't want to lose track of this. Don't have any pens. I had one. Oh, I have one here. Hold on 1 second. So we are almost done. So on the next class, I'm probably gonna have some stuff to go over with you guys, I think. Besides this, we're on Wi-Fi issues and I only have what? 2 more pages of my outline to go with you, which is all troubleshooting stuff. So I'll definitely plan some more lab stuff to do with you guys in the next class. So we have some fun with some other tools. A couple things that I wanted to go over with you guys is some other stuff that you may do that I don't think this certification is covering anymore. It used to show a lot of other third-party stuff and is basically concentrating too much on just Windows tools. And I think it'll be beneficial to you guys to be exposed to some of the other stuff that you may have to use it. So that's what I'll be showing. I was actually looking at something, and if anybody is not in a rush right now, I'm just going to show you something that you guys real quick. There's a tool that is we use it in security a lot, but you guys can use it for system administration things that are, it's called ZenMap. Installed it. Oh, right. Never mind. I can't do that right now because I had the rollback and it deleted. I'll have to install that again, but definitely next class.
It was like the icon with the eyeball or something.
Yes, it was here.
Yeah, I saw that.
And when I did the system restore, I don't know if you remember, it kind of went kaput. It's gone.
Right.
So I have to install that again. But I'm not gonna keep you guys. It's a long class, and you guys, went through a lot of stuff, and we're almost done. So on December 5th, when we meet, I'm gonna go over the rest of the stuff here. No, it's the rest of the stuff here. Plus, I'm gonna throw some other probably tools in the middle. Like for example, Microsoft actually bought these guys a few years ago. Some guys came up with sysinternals. So it came up with some tools, right? Because they didn't think that the tools of Windows were good, well made, right? So they came up with some tools on their own that Windows purchased them in right here. So Sys Internal's website was created in 1996 by this guy here. It was a bunch of advanced utilities, and everybody used to use this stuff. You still do. I use it a lot. And Microsoft bought them, bought those tools from them. They used to be open to people, and Microsoft went ahead and bought the source code and stuff, and they're free. They're still free, but they are given to, like, you can go to the Microsoft website and you can go and look at all those utilities, and they do a lot of stuff for you. So I'm gonna look at some of these, the ones that I think you guys can benefit the most. And like, for example, they have a process manager tool. You know how you have it on, let me open that guy. What is it? Test manager. How you have some information here? Well, they will give you a lot more. They will tell you like stuff like memory addresses on that. They'll tell you what library the application is using. So help you, figure out problems a lot quicker than Test Manager would in some occasions. In some occasions will be, we actually use some of those tools from our analysis. That's how good they are. So yes, Simolia, I'm gonna, as I spoke, my goal, let me stop sharing here. My goal was to have a bunch of stuff for you guys this week. Let me stop the recording too, because I don't need to record this stuff.